And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. This is Irreverent, Faith and Current Affairs.
Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday, Irreverence, Faith and Current Affairs. Happy birthday to us. It's our birthday. Yes, very exciting. Thank you very much, everyone, for being with us, taking up your time to watch or listen to the show. And I'm so happy that I'm joined by my two regular co-hosts, the Revs Tom and Daniel. Chaps, it's 1 year. Well done. 1 year. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. We've all survived. How have we survived? You survived the virus. You survived catastrophic anthropogenic climate change. I mean, how do you feel having survived for one more year in this extremely dangerous environment? There we go. Huge.
Yeah, I mean, we're stumped.
Daniel, how do you feel having survived?
Well, one day at a time, sweet Jesus.
One day. You don't want to count your chickens before they're hatched, as it were. As
everybody knows, I love a good disaster movie, and it's a bit strange being in the middle of one.
Exactly, yeah. Well, I mean, especially when the disaster is just so obvious. You just look around, there's just climate change everywhere. And, just people dropping dead all over the place because they're too hot. And you think, take off your coat, you'll be cooler. But, nobody does for some reason. Tom, how do you feel having survived?
Yeah, it's been a fun year. It's been interesting for someone who literally despises social media, to find myself running a sort of social media podcast empire.
Empire.
It's really weird. It's very strange. I keep asking myself, what has gone on? Why me?
To quote Raiders of the Lost Ark, only the humble man gets through.
Yes, indeed. I like that. I'm writing that down because I'm extremely humble.
But I'm just thinking, because my wife was complaining to me that Irreverent's always very negative. I said, Irreverent isn't negative. I said, we're not a negative. And then that was really negative, Jamie. That was a negative.
What was?
No, it wasn't.
What was negative?
Yeah, maybe it's
I've just been entirely positive so far.
In the end, we decided it might just be your accent. Like Essex accent. Yeah, it's quite a negative sort of accent.
I have a great love for the Essex accent, and I don't even think I particularly have one. I just got a little twang, Tom, just a little twang, just to remind you that I'm not entirely, safe. There's a little bit of an edge. There's a little bit of an edge to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I might have lived in Winchester, but I'm actually from Essex. Yeah.
I love your what's it called? Waistcoat. Very nice.
I've made an effort, although I'm not wearing a collar. So it's a paradox. Speaking of Essex, yeah, and this will be I think this should be like a regular feature, because we had one of these last week when somebody came up to Daniel and said, "Are you the Daniel French from Irreverend, Faith and Current Affairs?" My dad was chatting to someone introduced by a mutual acquaintance in Colchester, a lady called Kate, and she said to my dad, "Have you ever listened to this great podcast called Irreverence, Faith and Current Affairs?" My dad was, "Oh yeah, it's run by my son, by my second born son, Jamie, and some other people." So shout out to Kate from Colchester. Yes.
I had a very similar. Can I add my story to this? Because I've got a friend who's a curate in Winchester, not Winchester. He's a curate
Winchester.
In Wimborne.
Oh, Wimborne, which is exciting. That's a nice place.
It's a nice place, very nice. Good Minster, very nice Minster. And he was saying that he went for a coffee with one of the dads from his church, and the dad was telling him about his favourite podcast, and it turned out to be Irreverend.
Great. What's his name? Let's give him a shout out.
I don't know what I meant. The name was not passed on to me.
You need to get the names of these.
You know who he is? Wimborne.
Yes, Wimborne, we like it. I like Wimborne, although I've never actually been there. I've driven past it. I've driven past it a number of times when I've gone from Winchester to Bournemouth, and I've heard good things. And our neighbours moved there, but I don't think they listen to the show. Daniel, yes, Daniel. I listened to you on the line with Rod Dreher this morning. How amazing. And Daniel, I have to say, well done for plugging the podcast so many times. You did it about 3 times. It was excellent. I was thinking, now's the time, Daniel. Now's the time. Mention the podcast.
I could feel the force.
You did it. You did it just at the right time. But seriously, fantastic conversation with Rod Dreher, all about, I suppose, more the kind of technology, AI, politics, cultural stuff. I don't know who his other co-host was. It's a Roman Catholic guy, but he's really good as well.
Yeah, Kel Zeldin. So they podcast quite a lot.
Kel Zeldin.
Yeah.
What a great name.
Yeah.
Kel Zeldin. Sounds like something from June or something.
It does, doesn't it? Sort of.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome name. Yeah. And their podcast and YouTube page is General Eclectic.
Yeah. I was slightly confused by the name. I didn't really understand what the name meant. And then I thought, I'm not even sure I'm going to remember that.
Well, General Electric's like the main utility supplier in the States. So.
Oh.
That's a pun. It's a pun.
Like our name. Our name's. Well, is our name a pun or is it?
Is it? But it is a pun, isn't it? It's definitely a pun.
I have to give credit to you, Tom, because you did think of the name. I added the words faith and current affairs.
You did.
You thought of Irreverend, which is really like the brand.
I noticed someone I think in the Episcopal Church in America has created a podcast called Irreverence.
Well, do you know, that's actually run by...
I'm going to sue.
Kentucky Fried Chicken, isn't it?
I'm going to our lawyers this afternoon.
I'm reasonably certain that, because it's run by a chap called Timothy Watt, who I happen to know. He came to Cuddeston for a bit. Nice guy. No, I'm not joking. I don't joke very often.
You are a joker.
Timothy Watt, and it was nice, a really nice chap. I went to see Logan with him. Do you know the film?
Yeah, I quite like that.
It was good.
It's quite a lot of potty mouth language in it, though.
It was not.
And the violence is rather brutal.
Yeah, it is, but it's sort of a really interesting look at dementia and how we value that sort of people who's losing their minds, sort of part of that kind of side of things, and just quite interesting.
You make it sound far less like an X-Men film than it actually.
Well, it is. I mean, it is. I mean, that's sort of the whole
Broadbent film.
the whole point is that I was going to call him Jean-Luc Picard, but it's not. It's the same actor though.
Patrick Stewart. Use his real name. What's wrong with you?
He's not even himself though, is he? He's an actor, so he's playing Professor X, Xavier, and he's sort of suffering from some sort of dementia. Plays it very moving. I think it's very moving kind of performance by as they often are.
You know what? The first 2/3 of that film is really good, and then it becomes a conventional comic that around fighty thing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I know.
But anyway, I can't remember where I started now. What was the point of this conversation?
Sort of pointless rambling kind of contribution.
That's my job. It's
go nowhere.
That's because he's ever ready.
Yeah,
I'm always ready. Always was born ready.
All right.
Do you know, there was a point I was going to link it to something.
You were talking about Timothy Watt. You went to see Loki.
Timothy Watt, yeah, that's right.
Shout out to Timothy Watt, who has stolen the name of our podcast.
No, I think he might have gone first. I think they might be slightly older than us. But anyway, he's a nice chap. Yeah.
How well known are they?
I don't think they're very well known. I think
that's good. It's all right then.
They're also American, so
and they put "the" at the beginning, and it's Irreverence, so they're calling themselves Irreverence. People do actually do that to us. They say, "Oh, the Irreverence," but I've always thought of Irreverend as an adjective rather than a noun. You know, like I am irreverend, and so are you guys. Fusion of those two things. Listen, chaps.
Portmanteau.
Yes, a portmanteau. Excellent word. Brilliant word, Tom. I didn't know you had that in you, but you did. This is the Irreverend anniversary. We started this podcast a year ago. And for this, speaking of negativity, right, I do agree. Sometimes it's a bit negative. So I thought what we do today is we try and keep things positive and have a theme of kind of, Thanksgiving and, happiness and so on. Because you know what? The devil hates it when we laugh and are happy and are free from anxiety and are just loving being alive and living good and holy and happy lives. That's what the devil hates. So we're going to stick it to the devil this episode. And I want to start with a scripture from Philippians Chapter 4, where the Apostle Paul is talking about this sort of thing. Just after he's given loads of really awesome advice to the Philippians, he finishes with this. Finally, brethren, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is gracious, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. I love that. I love that scripture. I think it's a really, really nice scripture. And in all seriousness, I think one of the great challenges that has beset us over the past, 12 months, 18 months, whatever, is like realizing how dark some of this stuff is that's coming at us. It's dark, it's new, it's frightening, it's scary, and uncovering it, realizing the truth is it evokes all of those emotions. And I think it's a perennial temptation now for people who are awake, as I call it, to what's going on. It's a perennial temptation to sort of allow that to preoccupy you, allow that to kind of go round and round in your mind, and to make you feel anxious and to make you fearful. But as followers of Christ, and as those who follow the teaching of Holy Scripture, we have to try and find a way to find our joy in the Holy Spirit. You know, the fruit of the Holy Spirit is not anxiety and fear and anger. It's love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, self-control. These are the things which the Holy Spirit brings into our hearts. So we have to seek joy and peace and love in the midst of all of these things. I know it's really challenging, but it nevertheless is what we're called to. So there's a balance to be struck between being well informed, understanding what's going on, but not allowing that to overcome you and to take away all your joy and your happiness, because that fear and that anxiety is a type of spiritual bondage. You know, so if you think, well, you know, the people who are inculcated in the narrative and they are in bondage to the fear of the virus, the fear that's brought about by the propaganda. Yes, that's real. But there is also another type of fear which you can be in bondage to, which is the fear of, you know, the Great Reset, the totalitarian state, the technocratic elite, or whatever it is. That's also a type of fear, and we mustn't be in bondage to that fear. So all of that said, it's time to think about things which are true, honourable, just, pure, lovely, gracious, and things of excellence. And as such, I've got a great contribution to kick off this episode from the legend in Cambridge, Steve McGrath. He's not native to Cambridge. He's not even native to these islands. He's from that old US of A.
Steve McGregor.
Steve McGregor. Yeah, that's right. What did I say it wrong the first time?
You said McGrath.
Oh no! So embarrassing. Steve McGregor, total legend. He used to be a Marine. Was he a Marine? Now he's doing some kind of advanced degree in Cambridge. He's a great guy, and he's written us a brilliant email. He writes as follows: I've been thinking about your question, how to celebrate the Irreverend anniversary. I've probably listened to all of your episodes and must say that you and the crew have been a huge encouragement to me. Well, Steve McGregor, if we had special badges to give you, for, you know, a special badge to give to people who've listened to every episode, one would be winging its way to you right now. Unfortunately, we don't. So just, you know, that's an empty promise. Anyway, let's continue. Your courage, your convictions, and equally the manner in which you have discussed previously avoided or unmentionable topics, all of these things have meant a great deal, especially during the madness of the lockdown, a world that I still can't believe exists. So why not use the episode to talk about what you're thankful for and what you're looking forward to? I'm curious how you would answer this. I hope to see you again in Cambridge for a pint or two. As soon as I can get down there to Cambridge, Stephen, I'll be there for sure for a pint or two. That would be really nice. But let's talk about this, what you're thankful for and what you're looking forward to. Does anyone just jump right in? What do you think? Daniel, Tom? Don't be shy. It can be either of those things.
I'm looking forward to moving to my new role. That's something that's coming up.
Yeah,
reasonably soon. Moving late November, and I'm thankful for the birth of my son, which has been a great light in this. He's now 10 months old. So yeah.
I was going to say, if Sarah is listening to this, she was waiting then. She was waiting to hear that.
It's very joyful. It's very joyful.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm also very grateful for the birth of my daughter about this time last year, about the same time as the podcast was coming out. Tom, it's going to be super. How long is it until you move?
It was about 2.5 months, I think. So there's all sorts of kerfuffle around the accommodation, but we've got it sorted out now. So yeah, 25th of November. I won't be starting though until the 20th of December. So I get this was a bit of an odd day to have an induction, but it's not an induction, an investment. I don't know quite. It's all sorts of things at the same time.
Induction's a funny word, isn't it? Because it's also used to describe when you bring on the birth of a child in in a woman through some kind of unmentionable procedure?
They're not that weird, but okay, yeah.
Well, I mean, I've never watched one, but
anyway, so that's on the 20th of December, which means it's going to be quite sort of quite energetic Christmas, I should think. I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, it's going to be good fun.
And Tom, just remind you, because not everyone might know where you're going, and they might be they're now literally waiting with bated breath. Where will Tom be in the country?
It's a village called Burwash, which is in East Sussex, principally known. Well, I'd say principally known for this. It has its other things. It's very beautiful. It's principally known for being the location of Bateman's, which is the house of Rudyard Kipling, where he wrote a lot of his novels. So that's there. It's big National Trust property now. It's very pretty. And I've also got Etchingham to the west and Burwash Weald to the east, which will also be under my care. So it's 3 villages in a row.
Lovely. And I bet some people are doing some Google mapping right now because they think, oh, I've heard of those villages. Are they nearby? Well, you never know. Tom might be moving into the vicarage near you in 2.5 months. Well, Tom,
Victory.
The Tom Pelham. Can you believe it? There's a rectory. What's the difference between a rectory and a vicarage?
Let's not go there. Should we not go there?
Oh, right. Well, no, this is seriously. People are, oh my goodness, I want to know the answer to that question.
Do they? But people always ask me this, and I say, do you really want to know the answer to this question?
If it's a boring answer, then just say.
Of course, it's a boring answer. It's a matter of ecclesiastical law, isn't it? I mean. Effective. Okay, I'm going to do it now. I'm going to do it because you made me. Oh,
okay.
Here we go.
Quick,
okay.
Can you do it in 5 seconds?
No, the rector is in the medieval church was the person or institution who held the livings of the parishes or the benefice, the livings including the glebland and the right
Not the
to
glebland. You're always going on about the glebland.
and the right to the greater and the lesser tithes. The greater tithe being the corn tithe, the lesser tithe being the tithe of everything else.
Yeah.
They would then pay if they were not actually present due to being either rector of multiple parishes or being an institution such as a monastery or a Oxford college. They would then pay a vicar vicariously on their behalf to minister to the souls in that village. So the rector would have cure of souls, the vicar would have a sort of shared cure of souls in that place, and usually only get the lesser tithe or maybe a stipend. Of course, none of that really matters anymore. So now it's just a historical thing. Often rectories. Well, in the case of Burwash, there's a vicar in one of the villages part-time. So, I'd have to be a rector because you can't have a vicar and another vicar. So, but you can still have a vicar and a rector of a parish.
Wow, that's great. Thank you. I have to listen back to that to just really make sure I got all of the details because
I was just cringe a bit when people abbreviate vicar. It's not a title I particularly warm to actually. Yeah.
What's a vic?
Vic, yeah. Vic.
Oh my goodness. What is going on there? There's several different ringtones going off all at once. I think Daniel might need to be. Are you doing some serious vickering now, Daniel?
Vic away.
It's the first time anyone's doing this podcast. First time in a year.
What's the abbreviation of rector?
I think we should. I don't know. Maybe that could be in the X-rated version of the podcast.
But I mean, in the end, both vicar and rector. The thing that people misunderstand is that both vicar, rector, dean, chaplain, they're all jobs that presbyters can do.
Yeah.
So it's not a title.
Priests,
presbyters. Yeah, presbyters.
As it says in the Book of Common Prayer. Anyway, let's not go there. Daniel, can you remember what the question was?
What are you happy about, and what you think? What
are you thankful for?
What you're thankful for?
What you're looking forward to?
Why are you so happy?
Well, I think in all the lockdown mania, for me personally, the great thing has been able to, have time with family, to be blessed with a lovely location, which has sort of somewhat shielded us from a lot of the nastier side of all that's happened. To be a few minutes walk from the beaches, to be in the open air, to be able to go for long dog walks and that. So that I've been very thankful for, that, you know, that I wasn't in the middle of a city where things seemed a lot more oppressive, really.
Yeah.
And so that's been amazing to have that blessing. You know,
how's your dog doing, Daniel? Is he all right?
Yeah,
is it a girl? Is it a boy or a girl?
He's there next to the exercise bike.
Oh yeah, having a nice sleep. Oh, lovely. Love black Labradors.
He's doing great. So yeah, no, grateful for family, grateful for you know, having a peaceful place, reasonably peaceful place to live. And you know, I think most notably, I think obviously grateful for new friendships in the last 18 months. It's been the best of times, the worst of times, to quote Dickens. You know, we've like with yourselves, been able to connect up with so many people who've become awake to what's happening, you know, and sort of shared fellowship, and that has been amazing, really life-changing.
Yeah, it has been great, hasn't it, to meet new people? Although I've not actually met you in person.
Yeah, we haven't met. No,
we ought to do that at some point. We could do like a live Irreverend from somewhere.
Ah, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. Although with you moving to the southeast of the country, will be even.
Daniel being in the southwest and you being in.
And
I
forgot to mention
northeast.
actually, I'm actually moving to Inverness, so so it's going to be really tough to get everyone together. But that would be good. What are you looking forward to, Daniel? I tell you what I'm looking forward to is your catechism.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that, and that we're getting some real energy. I've got a friend of Steve McGregor's helping me out in the research in terms of acting as the herder of cats, as writers are, and you know, we're really getting there. I think we've got about 30,000 words already.
Wow, amazing!
And yeah, it's getting momentum. We've got you know, when this comes out, I think hopefully this will be a resource that churches can use and say, you know, that this is our story, and this is our story in the present climate, particularly.
Yes.
I'm going to be finally teased away from the prayer book catechism then, which I've been using thus far.
Well, no, you won't be, because it's not written particularly in that style. So.
No, okay, good. Because I just like the surprise on people's face when you start with, "And what is your name?"
You do it in that kind of like faux
accent. Yeah. What is your name?
So, Daniel, for people who don't know what the catechism is, why don't you say? So, what's the sort of working title? Did you say?
We've come to use the title Project X.
Yeah.
The Catechism of the Underground Church. This is because in Czechoslovakia, they had the communists had a scheme to keep people busy on Sundays and not do church going. They had something called Project Z, which is about draining people's energies in useless tasks.
Ah, sounds familiar.
And Czech friends actually say that these white elephants are still there in the country. You know, they got people to do either overly ambitious projects or just stupid projects, you know, stupid civil engineering projects where people didn't have the skill, the interest, the energy, and people went through the motions. So some of the churches would talk about, the people in the churches would say, "Oh, well, we're doing our own, you know, we're doing our own project," and make up various sort of code names and things to confuse the authorities, when actually all they were doing was going to church.
Yeah.
So we thought X,
and they called those projects Project X. Is that right?
Yeah. Right. So that we thought, well, let's use that. That's a really nice title to use.
Yeah.
Because it's about an ongoing work of being church, of working towards the flourishing of the church. Of evangelization, and we're putting forward a sense that, particularly in these coming years, that being a Christian is going to be a much more arduous task. You know, I think the phrase that Austin, one of our writers, uses is We need, Tamil Tiger Christians, ark builders, mountain climbers.
Right.
Yeah, that the pushback is clearly already starting to increase, and has increased even in the last 18 months. So we're writing from that perspective, and we're noticing, as we've noticed on this website, that there are people who are taking a second look at Christianity, and then there are people within the church who are realizing this and want to know how can we kind of address their issues. I suppose like the Delingpole brothers, how can we be involved in their catechetical journey?
Yeah.
What can we give to them as churches that builds them up rather than puts them off?
Yes.
How can we equip them with all the sort of the joys, the gifts, the challenges of the Christian message?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And you're offering depth as well, Daniel, which is, apart from all the banter, is something that we try and do on this podcast as well. We try and engage with people on a deep level rather than on the superficial level that so much church engagement uses nowadays. This idea that if you water everything down and you present things to people in what you think is going to be an easily palatable form, that will somehow make it more attractive. But actually, what I think we've all experienced in one way or another is it does exactly the opposite. Is people have got no interest. They've got absolutely no interest. What they want is historic Orthodox Christianity. That's what they want. If
you present an organization with enormously wide doors, it's easy to come in, but it's also easy to go out.
Yes, true.
And we're definitely picking up that I think particularly in the millennials, that there's now a strand of millennials who really are saying to us, give it to us hard, give us the full crayon set. We don't want some decaf dilute version. We want to know it in all its depths. We want to be, sort of use another analogy, swimming on the deeper end of the pool quickly.
Yes.
Rather
crayons
than
and caffeine.
Shallow end, which often, I think there's a whole load of courses and books out there which essentially are presenting Christianity as a sort of psychological prosperity gospel. That once you've embraced Christianity, nothing bad will ever really happen to you.
Yeah.
And that you're going to be skipping for the rest of your life from one success story to another. You only have to read St. John's Gospel, do you? Paul's epistles to see that's not, the history of Israel to see that's not the case.
Daniel, I think you need to remember that title, Crayons and Coffee, or Crayons and Caffeine, and use it in the future. That's lovely. Crayons and Caffeine. The autobiography of Daniel French. I can see it. Crayons and caffeine. I can see it now. Chaps, listen, what I'm looking forward to is as follows. Now, you remember we had Bernard Randall on the show, who was the teacher who, he's a chaplain, wasn't he, at Trent College, Nottingham, who basically got fired for preaching a sermon in which he said that children should be able to make up their own minds about questions around sexuality and so on. Obviously completely unacceptable to say that children should actually use their own faculties in order to come to conclusions, and they shouldn't just blindly follow what they're told by authority. That's obviously a heretical thing to say. And Bernard Randall was dismissed, not directly, but maybe it was eventually directly. It was a convoluted thing. We did a really good, I thought it was really good interview with him a few months ago now. And
it was a long time. It was like 6 months ago now. Anyway, yeah.
Was it? Yeah.
A long time ago.
Well, one of the things Daniel said at the time was we should make him a bishop. And so what I thought was, why don't we nominate Bernard Randall for the vacant see of the Bishop of Lincoln? And then also, Tom, you suggested that there are another couple. So if it doesn't work, if he doesn't get Lincoln, Lincoln's nice cathedral, Lincoln, lovely. Pugin used to go up in the eaves and draw pictures before he became a Roman Catholic. As a young man, he would be up there in the eaves drawing pictures with his little pencil. Lincoln Cathedral, yeah, very nice, very nice. Or if that doesn't work, Salisbury, that's becoming vacant. And also,
well, it is vacant. It is vacant. I don't know.
It's vacant now. We could do a double nomination. Double nomination.
Yeah.
And
Winchester.
I was just going to say, it's about number 5. It's about number 5 in the whole church, isn't it? If you think about it in that kind of carnal way. He could be Bishop of Winchester, couldn't he? That would be awesome.
I mean, let's be honest, it would be quite hard to be less qualified than the last one.
Oh, harsh.
Harsh, but actually quite true. You know, he never actually went to theological college or did any training of any sort.
Does he? Is that? I mean, he did an MA at King's College London, though, which I also did. So
yeah.
That is a super degree.
He was ordained in Africa by a bishop who was quite well known for ordained priest in Africa by a bishop who once ordained his driver to the priesthood because he was lacking a chaplain at the time.
Oh dear.
Oh, that's entrepreneurialism, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's it's innovation.
I'm not saying that as a criticism of the Bishop of Nairobi. I can't remember. I think it was Kenya, but because he's quite within his right to ordain whoever he wants, so the Spirit calls him, and that's great. But it just let's just put it this way: the normal checks and balances that the Church of England put in place, flawed though they are, to be a sort of normal human being or relatively normal human being, we're not in this case followed.
Right. Okay. Well, that's another vacancy, isn't it?
Well, it is a vacancy.
If anyone would like to help us with our nomination process, I've got absolutely no idea about how this works, but I think we should do it. I think we should make Bernard Randall Bishop of Winchester or Lincoln or Salisbury. Yeah. So make Lincoln great again by having Bernard Randall.
Build back better.
Reverend Doctor. He's got a PhD. Make him the Bishop of Lincoln. Yes. Here's the beginning, chaps. This is going to be our first political campaign well, it's not actually our first, is it? Because we've done other things as well. But yeah, make Lincoln great again, or make Winchester great again, depending on which one we go for. Or Salisbury. All great places anyway, to be fair. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Really, I mean, people could sort of criticize us for being saying, we're trivializing, we're just being disruptive for the sake of it. But actually, I think one of the big problems we know at the moment within the C of E makeup is that for all the stuff about diversity, actually political diversity and theological diversity are actually very narrow. And if this organization wants to survive the next 10 years, knowing what we know about all the people who are knocking on our door saying, that they're interested in reconnecting with the church, but having a problem when they do, finding they're cold-shouldered. Well, there's something to be said for having a Bernard Randall.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a serious point, because this, and this is not somebody who is particularly Anglican tribal. Okay. This is a mainstream Anglican who's worked in various pastoral situations, is academically qualified, seems quite like a decent chap. Why wouldn't you?
I'm convinced. I'm absolutely convinced.
Well, I think there's something to be said for that. I mean, certainly we know that the actual nomination sort of process is basically held by a very small group of people, all of whom think the same way. At one point, it was held by just one person. The most powerful person in the Church of England was, in fact, the Archbishop of Canterbury's secretary, I believe, who was the controller of the list of potential candidates for bishoprics. Wow. And other high posts. And she literally, it was just her. She had almost absolute control. To be honest, I would be in favour of a democratic system, really, where people are voted for by the diocese in question, rather than a sort of behind closed doors.
This is one of those issues, though, where genuine involvement of the laity, not the system we've got now, but genuine involvement would be a really good thing, and it would actually match the practice of the early church which is, you know, something that St. Cyprian was writing about, you know, when he first sort of formulated in a more formal way the kind of ideas around the episcopate and the apostolic succession. The idea wasn't just that there would be an apostolic succession of bishops, one to the other, and that the power was held within the bishops. It would be that the bishops were elected from local congregations. So it was something which was actually a process which involved the whole body. It wasn't just about this kind of power elite, which is, I think, it's often a kind of mistake that we have conceptually about apostolic succession. It's supposed to be something that is, you know, there's an interplay between bishops and the church. So it would be absolutely much better if we had more lay involvement. But to most laity, they've got absolutely no idea what's going on. And
no, anybody, any Anglican, and I think actually that would also remits even wider than that. Anybody can nominate anybody for
a consideration,
anything.
But unless you're actually on the list, the chances of actually, I mean, you know, with all due respect to Bernard Randall, who we've enjoyed talking to, has and you know, all that pastoral experience and that academic experience, and many ways would make a great sort of candidate, but he's not going to be on the list because he's not.
We have little faith.
because he's not.
Really believe.
The words of Yoda come to mind. This is Luke. This is the reason, Luke, why you can't lift your X-wing fighter.
Yes, exactly. Listen, chaps, we're going to do it. If anyone can help us, please do, because I suspect that we don't have.
Presumably, if their mailbag gets filled with one name, repeated.
Yes, do it.
Is it done by sort of a lot, is it? Like, you know, if it's in there sort of 40, 50 times, the one they pick out was going to be more chance of being.
I'm gonna find out how to nominate him, and I'm going to do it. I promise. Right. I promise.
I think you write to the Crown appointments.
We probably better ask him first then.
No, seriously, he's already said he's up for it.
Okay, we're fine then. We're good.
We're going to do this. We're going to anyway, even if he wasn't up for it, you know.
But there's a long history.
John Chrysostom.
Yeah,
have you never read John Chrysostom's Of the Priesthood?
I know. He didn't want to be the bishop.
Trying to escape. In fact, not being up for it would be a qualification, because they would say, you know, non episcopus volo est, or whatever it is. All terrible Latin. Sorry to the Latinists, but you get the point. I do not want to be a bishop is a qualification for being a bishop.
You're quite right, and he's not the only one, is he? There's who is it? One of the three saints of East, Basil's brother. What was Basil's brother?
Ambrose as well had the same thing.
Who was Basil's brothers?
Gregory of Nazianzus.
Yes, I think it's
Gregory. Was Gregory of Nyssa? You think they're not brothers, are they?
No, one of Basil's brothers, because Basil, of course, was he father of the church and bishop of Caesarea. But one of his brothers was bishop of Constantinople, but didn't want to be. He kept running away and he was the one who in the end did the Council of Constantinople that sort of did the second version of the Nicene Creed, which is why it's properly called the Nicea-Constantinople Creed. But he didn't want to be bishop; he kept running away.
Constantinopolitan. I can't remember how to pronounce the word. It's a word I can never pronounce. Yeah, well, absolutely, Tom. You're right. You're right. And this trip, this deep delve into the history of the early church has no doubt proved our point beyond any doubt. And there should not be doubt. There should only be faith. But now we have to move on, because there are other things to do in this special anniversary episode. So let's pause here and do a few notices. Telegram. I'm loving Telegram right now. Yesterday I did a big shout out because I wanted to reach 700 users before we got to our birthday.
Did we reach it?
I did one of these. Wait a minute. I did one of these little pathetic, sort of needy. Oh, please join our Telegram on Twitter, because we were down at sort of 694, something like that. Now we're on 718. Oh yes,
yeah.
There we go. Thank you very much for joining our Twitter, our Telegram accounts. Really good account. Really good. t.me/Irreverend Pod. You can be on there too, and let's get to 1,000 in a month.
How many listeners are we getting at the moment? Like, what sort of do you keep your finger on this sort of thing?
I do keep my finger on the pulse. Yeah, we're doing well. Yeah, we're getting lots of listeners. Why'd you ask?
I just wondered. I literally don't. I know we get about 1,500 YouTube listens a week, don't we?
Well, on the new episodes, but overall we get a lot more than that. And we get on the podcast, on the audio podcast, we get about 15,000 downloads a month now. So it's going quite well. We just got up to, I can't remember, it was like 150,000 or 200,000 overall on the audio podcast or something like that. Wow. So we've got a good audience. But people, the people are very loyal. They're like Stephen McGregor. They just keep on coming back.
We think that the YouTube's algorithms push us down a bit, don't we?
Yeah, definitely. YouTube is against us, which is why anyone who watches us should make sure to follow us on Odyssey as well. Even if you like YouTube as a platform, follow us on Odyssey. So if we appear from YouTube, you can find us.
What's Odyssey?
Odyssey is another video.
Yeah, another social media site. Guys, what are you doing to me?
It's a video platform. odyssee.com. Go on there, type in Irreverent Faith and Current Affairs. You can follow us there, and that will mean you won't lose connection with us. If you want to support us financially and join our Patreon community, you can do that from as little as £1.50 a month plus VAT. Patreon.com/Irreverence.
I think that's a great value. Well, I would say that, wouldn't it? But I think that's great. That's less than most coffees now.
It's less than the price of renting RoboCop on Amazon Prime.
But twice as stimulating.
Twice as intellectual.
Are we sure about that?
I'm not sure. I just plucked that out of the air.
I quite like RoboCop.
You can do that. Yeah, RoboCop. The first one is good.
Joe,
are there any more notices?
I get confused between RoboCop and Judge Dredd. Which one's the one where it says "I am the law"? Is that RoboCop? That's Judge Dredd. Yeah,
RoboCop is a half man, half robot. Also. Dredd is
Department of Defense is denying they're ever going to build.
Yes, indeed. Oh, it's a good film. It's got a really good theme. Funnily enough, I was actually humming the theme tune this morning. Funny, isn't it, how these things happen? Something's going on. Something's going on in my subconscious. So those are all the notice. Oh, another notice. I just received my copy of this morning. For anyone who's interested, look at that. Look at how nice that looks. Lovely. This is for audio listeners. This is Charles Taylor and Anglican Theology, Aesthetic Ecclesiology, written by J.A. Franklin, published by Palgrave Macmillan. And I literally just got this in the post.
Has it got a quote on the back? Not completely boring, Mark Chapman. No.
Do you want me to read you a quote on the back?
Go on.
This is from Johannes Huber, who is one of my supervisors at Oxford. He writes, Jamie Franklin's book is well-researched, a well-researched study in ecclesiology. More than that, however, it is a passionately argued plea to the church to take the aesthetic dimension of Christian worship seriously. Drawing on theorists of modernity such as Taylor and Milbank, Franklin argues that it is the church's responsibility to live an alternative to the disenchanted reality of the modern world. Brilliantly written. The book speaks to readers in both the academy and the church. There you go. That's Johannes said that. And he's a proper person. What's that?
You would do an audio version.
Do you think
so? Audio, if it read by you, yeah.
You would listen to it?
No.
I'm just thinking of economy here. It might be slightly,
it also says it's quite expensive, and I'm hoping this is what will happen. Okay, if you're a wealthy person and you want to read the book, then buy the book. If you're not wealthy, don't buy it because it's too expensive. But if you're wealthy and you buy it, then it will make it more likely that they'll publish a paperback edition, which will be cheaper, and then other people who have less, who don't have 100 quid to spend on a book can buy it as well. So if it were me, I'd be just giving them out. Well, not giving them out because that makes it look cheap. But I'd significantly reduce the price. But it's not. I'm not the publisher, sadly. So if you want, buy the book. But if you don't, fine, don't care. I mean, I do, but not really. Anyway, let's move on. We're going to play now the Irreverend Awards. Yay!
Oh.
This is the annual awards ceremony, and I'm going to make a list of. I'm going to make a note of this so that we can share with people anything that might be interesting. Now, I've got a couple of questions. Now, bear in mind, chaps, there are lots of these. Okay, and we don't have all day, so just it's not really quick fire, but it's not like ramble on for ages like you often do, Tom. So, all right, here we go. I should explain the rules first. So this is like a retrospective on the last 12 months, but the things that the answers don't have to be from the last 12 months. For example, best film doesn't have to be a film that's made in the last 12 months. It can just be a film. You can interpret it in whatever way you want, but like a film that's been, interesting to you, or has been helpful, or has been relevant in some way. Yeah. Do you understand the rules?
Not really, but go on.
Okay,
let's
great.
just try. Let's see if we get it right.
All right, here we go. All right, best Bible verse / passage. Just jump right in. Come on.
Philippians Chapter 2.
Philippians 2, very nice.
Hebrews Chapter 2:15.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, what? So Hebrews 2:15. Daniel, tell us what that says.
It's the one about Christ has come to save us from the slavery of fear.
Yes, from bondage to fear. Yeah, excellent. I love that one. And
I thought it really summed up for me.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's a really nice
Tom,
one.
you had Philippians
Chapter 2. It just came to mind. It's mostly the Christ hymn in it. Just calling us to be as Christ, who humbled himself.
And why is that particularly relevant, Tom?
Well, I don't really know. It just came to mind. That's why I don't really know the rules here, but it's a good passage. Go read it.
Yeah, it is. My one is very, very good. To be fair, I have made the rules quite flexible. My one is Romans chapter 12, verse 21. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. And relates a little bit to what I was talking about earlier. We mustn't be overcome by evil. We must overcome evil with good. Fighting evil with evil is not going to work. All right, next question.
Can I change?
Yeah. Go on.
Yeah. Okay, Matthew 11:28-30, because I did a bit of a bite. It was one of the first bits of scripture that we talked about.
Yeah.
And it's about putting your yoke on Christ and not sort of expecting to stand up on your own. And I think that's another thing that we want to say is, this is big, lots of things going on, lots of big issues crashing around, but put them on Christ, because he will bear them.
Love it.
Behalf.
Come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, etc. Nice. I am seriously writing these down, and I will put them in the show notes if the show notes will allow. So you can look, and who said them as well. Right, next one. Best book of the Bible.
Wow.
Come on. Shall I go first?
Yeah, go on.
My best book is the book of Revelation. Yes.
I knew you were going to say it. I knew you were going to say that.
Did you think that?
I did think that. I thought he was going to say.
It's the best one. You can't have the same one either. That's a rule.
Okay.
I've just invented.
I'm going to go for Genesis then.
Oh yes, I love it.
Good band Genesis? As well.
Why
Very
Genesis,
good band.
Daniel? Why Genesis? Just because it's the beginning of the story. Action packed.
It is good. What was I've got to say? Job.
Oh yeah, excellent.
Job.
I'm going through that in my lectionary at the moment. Look at Job. Lovely. Why is that, Tom?
It's really about sort of humanity and suffering and God, which are always ever-present issues.
Yeah, very true. All right, coming into the musical section now. Best hymn. Who's got a best hymn?
Father, hear the prayer we offer.
Okay, Father, hear the prayer we offer.
Let all mortal flesh keep silent.
Oh yes,
good, yeah.
Oh yes, that is a brilliant hymn.
There's really nice kind of instrumental versions of it that have been done. It's slightly John Lewis,
But
Bairstow did a lovely anthem based on it, didn't he?
What's that?
Bairstow's anthem based on those words. Very nice.
It's the D minor tune, though, isn't it, Tom?
It's a French folk tune, isn't it?
But that's the tune. That's a
Picardy. It's called Picardy. Picardy.
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome.
My wife and I, Fran and I, did it as a duet once a few years ago.
Wow.
She's got a very folksy Celtic voice, and has run a gospel choir, what have you. I've got an Aled Jones voice. So we complement well, and we did it from different ends of the church. A sort of choral. It was like a choral vespers type thing.
Is that Aled Jones in the Snowman or Aled Jones?
Slightly older. Yeah, not.
He put on a very tight pair of trousers that day.
Falsetto, childlike falsetto.
I'm working on my album at the moment.
But it's a translation of the Divine Liturgy from the Orthodox Church, isn't it? It's very, very wonderful words as well.
It's one of the most powerful. It will send shivers up your spine. Honestly, I've got so many. I've got so many favorite hymns. It's really hard to nail it down. But I think I'm going to have to go for I bind unto myself today.
Oh,
the
that's a
strong
good one.
name
Yeah,
of the Trinity. It is an unbelievable piece.
St. Patrick's breastplate.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. St. Patrick's. And if you sing that song at the beginning of the day, you will feel like just like nothing can stop you. You know,
You might also finish it by the end of the day if you're lucky.
It's like putting on the armor of God. It really is. It makes you feel like
start at 6 a.m, finish at 6 p.m.
It's a wonderful.
I bind unto
Yeah,
myself today the strong name of the Trinity, etc.
Yeah, by invocation of the same.
By invocation
three
of the same.
in one and one in three, and it goes through like all these different things. You buy all the good things, you know, God's creation, the apostles' word, the word of God, the holy angels. It's just an amazing song. It's like invoking in the most powerful way this idea that you're opening yourself up to all the good things of God, and you're saying yes to those things. You're rejecting and renouncing Satan.
It's a good way of living out that Philippians 4 scripture that you spoke about.
Yes.
Yes. Have you already just said that? Did you just say that? No, I don't think you did.
No, I didn't.
No, good. I thought you might have done, because it's an obvious link to make.
Yeah, if you're having trouble.
I had it at my induction, actually.
Did you? What a brilliant one.
Good idea.
I had Let Mortal Flesh Keep Silent at my priestly ordination, but we couldn't sing it because singing was banned. It was bad, said Satan. Anyway, let's carry on.
I'm really sorry I missed your priestly ordination, because I really wanted to be there and just wander around in the sort of most low robes I could find, you know, like surplice and preaching scarf.
A pair of jeans. Yeah, right. Let's move on.
Shirt.
Let's move on to best song. Now, this could be a Christian song, but it also could not be. It's up to you.
Uprising by the Muse.
Uprising by Muse. I don't know if I know that one.
Yes, you do.
How does the guitar riff go? Probably.
No, I don't really know. It's hard to describe. Listen, you'd love it. It's all about you know, they will not control us. That bit. I
love it. That's really good.
Yeah.
That's really good. Daniel, best song.
Well, I'm not very good on contemporary music, I have to say.
It doesn't have to be contemporary. It can be anything.
But I had a question actually to ask, because you mentioned a few weeks back the end of The Matrix.
This is going to be mine. This was going to be mine.
You wake up by System of Down.
No,
it's not System of Down. It's
Machine. It's not
Rage Against the Machine. So I've been listening to System of Down recently.
I was looking for it on Spotify and couldn't think what it was. So
it's the most brilliant song.
It's a great album. A rather corny dishwashing playlist on Spotify. It's called Dad's Dishwashing Playlist, and I've been slightly energized by Blinding Lights, which I play it a lot just to make my kids.
Oh, is that that's what's his name? The Weeknd.
Yeah, it's the TikTok song that
there
is, I think, some eccentric Irish family they got Grandad out in his pajamas dancing to, that went viral.
It is a really good song, actually, Blinding Lights. For me, it was a toss up between Wake Up. Am I going to go for Wake Up, or the other song? Was also by Rage Against the Machine, is Killing in the Name of, which is a bit rude. The same album, aren't they? It's a bit rude at the end, but you get the idea, if you see what I mean. You get the idea. Yeah. But I am going to go for Wake Up, because for me, the whole thing about being awake and waking up to the truth, to God, to righteousness is absolutely central to this whole
justice.
thing. Justice.
Chapter 1 of the New Catechism
it's about waking up. Very good. It's all tying in. Seriously, Daniel, next time you go for a writing session, just stick in some earphones and put Wake Up by Rage Against the Machine on full volume, and just, in fact, listen to just all of Rage Against the Machine, because it will get you in the mood. All right, next one. Best film.
I think it's yet to come. I think it's going to be June.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that too, actually.
Well, you'll have to save it for next year, because this is
when's it coming out? It should have come out a year ago.
A couple of weeks' time.
It's only a couple of weeks. Okay.
Okay, so we're excited about June. What about films we've seen?
I've been to see the Bond film. That was pretty good. It was okay.
V for Vendetta would be an obvious one, wouldn't it, for this this season?
V for Vendetta. Now, Daniel, you really going? I haven't seen the Bond film, but I'm slightly wary that it's going to be really woke and rubbish.
It's not too bad.
Are you really going for that for best film though? I mean, this is the whole like
best film ever.
No, just over the last 12 months. Just
that you've seen, or what?
It doesn't have to have been made in the last 12 months.
Very ambiguous kind of.
Hidden Life.
What's that?
Surely
Hidden Life.
Hidden Life.
Okay.
Oh, that's very good. To be honest, that was one of my. That was going to be one of mine. It's a wonderful film, isn't it, Daniel? Hidden Life.
Yeah.
Really good.
So in terms of like speaking to the pandemic, V for Vendetta is quite chilling if you watch it. Have you watched it?
I haven't. It's on my to-do list.
Watch it.
Yeah, I will. That's about government control and everything. Sci-fi.
There's one called Doomsday, isn't there? Which was done about 10 years ago. I noticed on Netflix, which seems to say that a genetically engineered pandemic is dropped into.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny how they made all this stuff. Hidden Life, a really good film about telling the truth, even when it costs you, and about embodying a righteous life, even if it's unpopular. I've got two. No, I'm not going to have two, but I was going to say one of a film experience I've enjoyed this year is the Eurovision film with Will Ferrell, which is not 100% successful, but I really like the Dan Stevens Russian singer guy. He's really fun. Dan Stevens he plays a character called Matthew in Downton Abbey, and this character in the Eurovision film, it could not be any more different. He sings a song called "The Lion of Love," which for me is one of my favorite moments in film ever. So look up "The Lion of Love" and you'll just laugh and be happy and be so joyful. But my film experience of the year, I'm going to say, is Greenland. Have you seen Greenland, boys? Greenland is a film about a meteor hitting the Earth. It stars Gerard Butler.
Yes, I have seen it. Yes.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? Because when you hear, it's about a meteor, you think, we've done all that with Armageddon and Deep Impact and all that rubbish.
I can never get enough of that.
Yeah. But it's really, really good. It's really good. I just said to Lorna on an evening, should we listen to a review for Greenland? And we were both feeling like, I can't be bothered to watch a film. Listen to a review. It's Mark Comode review. He said it's really good. You should watch it. So we did, and it was immersive. I was, it was like it was transported to this, really intense.
That's a really good idea. Fran and I could watch that because she has a particular artistic interest in Gerard, what's his name?
Gerard Butler.
Needs to move the sofa closer, really, and for me, there's a bit of asteroids and sofas.
Have you seen? Has she seen 300, where he plays a ripped Spartan warrior, King Leonidas?
I don't know.
Maybe she'd like that if she's there's plenty of him poncing around in a pair of speedos with a massive six-pack. Killing Persians.
Not good for the soul, really.
It's
a bit grim, that actually. It was a bit grim. I didn't enjoy 300 at all. Anyway,
but interestingly, Tom Holland, who we all have to defer to forever. Oh no, I've lost my Irreverend Awards. Tom Holland, who we all have to defer to forever. He says that 300 is a really good film because it actually depicts the Spartans as they really were, and not through some kind of westernized Christianized lens, but it actually shows them who they were, which is basically kind of like proto-Nazis. I suppose there's a kind of moral question as to whether it's good to watch a film where the proto-Nazis are the heroes, but that's essentially what he says.
Yeah, I don't think it's really aiming for anything realistic at all, though, is it? It's all quite quite comic booky. In fact, it's a comic book, isn't it? It's a comic book remade.
Yeah, but it's realistic in terms of the values that are betrayed that the Spartans had. Like the Spartans hate weakness, right? And they expose their children. If they have a weak child, they would expose it, and the child
to the elements. Yeah. I knew that. They were nasty people.
And in their view as well, weakness and ugliness was a sign of not immorality, but kind of evil and wickedness. So in all the bad characters in 300, they're all like physically deformed, which is a very kind of it's very, very different to the kind of Christian view of things that we inherit, which is that the poor, the people who have misfortune of being weak or disfigured are people who should be cared for and loved, and that there's actually something virtuous about suffering. In the Spartan view of things, it's like completely the other way around. These people are evil, wicked, suspicious, to be rejected, and so on.
I mean, that's the downfall of all paganism, though, really, isn't it? Because you end up with beauty is sort of idolized in a sense. rather than being something which we can rightly say points to God, but doesn't, but the absence of beauty doesn't negate God. It becomes idolized in itself.
Yeah. I agree. Daniel's gone to the toilet, which is rather inconsiderate of him.
We could do the next one.
We will continue. The next one is best television show. Tom, best television show. What's your response?
Well, I've watched in the last 12 months. Television's been really dull, isn't it?
I know it's been rubbish. I honestly, I can't really.
I quite like the Great British Pottery Throwdown.
All right, the Great British
Pottery. No, it's just the Great Pottery Throwdown. I think just because it was.
What's it called? The Great Pottery Throwdown.
Yeah, it's great. It's great watching.
Yeah, it is actually very watchable. Actually, we watched that. We're really into some artsy craftsy things. That's what we kind of do. There's a lot. Go to galleries and look at a little bit of pottery here and there, and
because they do a difference. I mean, it's a bit like Bake Off, but I'm not in a sense in the format. But I just feel it's more interesting because cakes are less sort of. I don't know. There's something interesting. They do sort of historical pottery types. They do different way of sort of. There's got a chemistry in it. There's a lot of and the chap who presents it is quite endearing. He keeps crying. Which is quite nice. Like he just bursts into tears as he sees people develop, their skills.
Rhymer.
Yeah, very soft-hearted man. Yeah.
Oh, great. That sounds really nice. Daniel, what's your one?
I have to say, in terms of TV shows, this year I really enjoyed Loki.
Loki.
Okay, Loki on Amazon on the Disney Channel.
Tom Hollander and Owen Jones, isn't it? No.
Is it? How do you spell Loki? Is it
L-O-K-I?
Yeah. It's really what. It's a shame they didn't actually produce more episodes, but it wasn't. It hadn't seemed to have gone through the woke filter.
Yeah.
And it's probably, a number of people have said this actually. It's really probably what Doctor Who could feel like if they got proper direction back on.
Yeah.
So Loki obviously was a sort of he's the trickster god, isn't he? And throughout the Marvel sort of stuff, he sort of he plays that sort of role. You're never quite sure what side he's on in neither side. He's only. I mean, is he good? Is he bad? Is he sort of morally ambiguous like the rest of the sort of
he's
canon?
less morally ambiguous in this and tends towards a more benevolent character. Yes, Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston, isn't it?
Yeah, Tom Hiddleston, yeah.
Terrible at remembering names like this. And in essence, the first series has, again, it's a bit like Doctor Who in terms of there's this organization like the Time Lords that are monitoring the whole of time and space. And so he's got sucked up into this, and he's being mentored by Owen Wilson to help repair some of the sort of cracks in time.
Okay, because I mean,
there are all sorts of
without giving spoilers away, but obviously there's a spoiler in them. I thought he was the character was obviously killed in Infinity Wars or Endgame. I can't remember which one. He dies.
I can't remember how, but he's resurrected. He's taken out time and space.
Okay.
Yes, it's the time variance.
Time and space trick, isn't it?
The old time and space trick.
Authority, the TVA, who are a bureaucratic organization that exists outside time and space and monitors the timeline and deal with disasters and things that have to.
Sounds like the Church of England.
Yeah,
because it's outside of time and space. Well, I guess
it exists to deal with disasters. To constantly respond to disasters.
So these agents are kind of parachuted in, but the TVA home world or space station is like a sort of 1960s set, and it's very kind of art retro. Anyway, what was great was that Wilson and Hiddleston have such an amazing chemistry.
Yeah,
All right,
I
look at
like
that
Tom Hiddleston is good. He's a good actor.
Yeah.
He was good in The Night Manager. That's good. That's a good TV show. But my TV show, actually, Night Manager is okay. It's not as good as the original novel. There are flaws. Hugh Laurie's good in it though. But my TV show is The Last Kingdom. It's so good. Have you guys watched The Last Kingdom?
No,
No, but I've read the books. Is it worth it then? Is it?
Oh, it's so good. Uhtred of Bebenberg. I forget the name of the of Draymond, Alexander Draymond. The guy who plays him is so charismatic. It's honestly, it's fantastic.
So he's another sort of morally ambiguous character. Isn't he? We're waffling too much, aren't we, Jamie? We're not going to get through this.
No. You're not at all. But
someone is then.
The Last Kingdom. The Last Kingdom is awesome.
Okay, good. Okay, it's good. Yeah.
Best novel. Here we go. I've got one straight off the bat.
Go on.
I read War and Peace earlier this year, and I'm going for that because it's really good.
Look at me, I read War and Peace.
I'm sorry, it's just the game. It's just what came up.
Just had to be said, yeah.
I had a flatmate at uni who, for a dare, read it in 24 hours.
That's pretty.
Is that sort of thing that undergraduates do?
Is that even possible?
Did he do it, Daniel?
Yeah, he did.
Like
yeah.
1,400 pages.
He collapsed in a lecture the next day of exhaustion, which is quite
right.
I'm not sure you could take anything in because when I read it, I needed to have like charts to remind me who was who, like because there are so many characters.
He's a bit egghead, so.
Well, there we go. It's probably not the best way to enjoy Tolstoy.
No.
Once I tried to stay up with a friend of mine and watch the whole of the first series of 24 in 24 hours, which was quite fun.
We've done that. And do you know what's in the old box sets when the numbers change, because obviously in America they have so many commercials.
Yeah.
What we used to do as a laugh is guess what the next time entry point would be.
Right. Yeah.
And we ended up having this rather silly game with in-laws where we'd ring each other up, essentially kind of putting almost like bets down as to what.
Yeah. That was good, wasn't it? 24. That was like the beginning of all this, TV being better than film type thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so novels.
Politically incorrect. Actually, it wouldn't get shown now.
Yeah, all the torturing Islamic terrorists. Nuclear rocket codes.
Okay, I got a novel for you. That Hideous Strength.
Oh yeah, that's Lewis. Good one.
Oh yeah, that's good. Fantastic.
Just typing that in now.
It's a good read, isn't it? You think? I don't know. Would it make a good movie? Do you think?
No, I think it's a bit too sort of strange at the end.
But especially when the elephant starts killing people. Was it Rowan Williams? In the review said something like, "What sense is the breakdown of the authorial psyche at this point when the elephant goes mad and starts trampling the baddies?" But
one senses the breakdown of the authorial psyche. What a brilliant quote. It's a good one.
I thought he poo-pooed the ending, and
he did. Yeah,
and I thought that was a shame actually, because the kind of craziness of the ending kind of picks up on the craziness of the world that Lewis is pointing at.
Prophesying.
It'd be like having a rampage at the Conservative Party conference, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Daniel, what's your novel?
Well, I have enjoyed Hideous Strength. I reread it as well, but I was going to say another dystopian piece is Dave Eggers' The Circle.
The Circle
is with Tom Hanks and is appalling.
Yeah,
PC version of it, but the book's really good and actually is very believable as to where social media could go if we don't look within the next couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a good shout. All right, next one. Best spiritual / Christian / theological book. You can only have one. So what's it going to be?
Well, it's got to be the Rod Dreher's. I actually got around to reading
you're
Benedict.
You're going to
go around to reading the Benedict option.
Is it the Benedict option? For
you?
Okay. All right. The Benedict option. So you found that helpful? Do you want to say anything about why, or is it just obvious?
I think it's pretty obvious, isn't it? But it's sort of that sense of needing to fortify our Christian values in our communities and work on that on sort of it's a slight misnomer. He's not saying withdraw from society, but he's saying prepare to defend the borders of Christian kind of integrity and prepare to suffer for that.
Prepare to suffer. Very good. Yeah, I like it. Daniel, what's yours?
And what's that book by Franklin again?
You mean Charles Taylor and Anglican theology, aesthetic ecclesiology?
I want the audio version. Movie.
The audio book.
Read by the author.
Yeah.
with interpolations.
Yeah.
With explanatory interpolations.
I'd go for another Dre book, which is Live Not by Lies. Which
I thought you were going to say that, Daniel. I really did. Live Not by Lies. That is a good book. Daniel, so Andrea wins 2 of the best Christian book awards. It's unbelievable, really, isn't it? Daniel, there we are. Now, oh man, for me, it's to be honest, my head's gone a bit blank. Honestly, I feel such pressure now. I might have to come back. I might have to come back to this. So I spend such a load of time reading books like this. It's all like a blur. I'll come back to this, all right? I will answer that.
Do we need a best general book as well as a best novel and a best spiritual book?
Yes.
Do we too? Okay.
Well, that's coming up right now. That's why I'm trying to get through this bit.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Do we need it? Do we actually need it?
Oh, you've actually seen it, have you?
I'm looking at the list. You sent it to us, Jamie.
Oh yeah, I did send you the list.
I just feel there's too many books in that. I mean, okay.
All right, no best general book category.
All right, okay.
I'm deleting it. Bye bye.
Okay, goodbye. It seems a bit surplus to requirements. Best priest or church leader.
Best theological book. I'm going to do this.
Oh, come on, Jamie. Are you going to do it?
I'm going to do it.
C.S. Lewis. Just chuck in a bit of C.S. Lewis. Can't go wrong.
I've been
Miracles.
reading, for quite a long time, I've been reading The City of God by St. Augustine.
Oh, well, I mean, that's yeah, okay, fair enough.
I'm going to go for that.
You can't go wrong with it, can you?
There was a bookshop where it was put in by mistake under civil engineering.
I mean,
that just says everything that you need to know about modern civilization, doesn't it? City of God is one of the most important books probably that's ever been written, and it's amazing. One of the things I think is amazing about reading St. Augustine is he's writing at the end of the 4th century, and it's like it could have been written yesterday, 10 years ago. It's like you get that sense clear. So clear, such a good communicator. Yeah,
you get that sense with Confessions as well. I mean, other than the context of when he sort of talks about some various things that are really quite specific to the 4th century Roman Empire, other than that, all of his musings could be written, in the 20th century, 21st century easily.
Oh, I've got another book that I really enjoyed reading this year, actually. This is not going to win the award because I've given it to St. Augustine, but The Gospel and Catholic Church by Michael Ramsey. It's really, really good book, helpful for understanding what the Church of England is in a good way, not in a rubbish way.
He was he occupied my room at Cuddesdon.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Wow, what an honour for him, Tom. And you. All right, here we go. Best priest / church leader. There we go.
Oh, blimey.
Come on, Tom. Who's best priest / church leader? Any ideas? Can't be one of us, by the way. You can't nominate me. Daniel, your microphone is off, I think. I can't hear you.
I heard him. I heard him twice now. He said Bernard Randall.
Did you say Bernard Randall? Is that you're going for Bernard Randall? Great.
Let's go Bernard Randall.
Bernard Randall. We'll tell Bernard. We'll tell Bernard, if he listens, he'll know that he's got one of the best priest / church leader awards. I'm going to go for, it's got to be someone who stood up to the lockdown, isn't it? I'm going to go for Douglas Wilson. Douglas Wilson of Moscow, Idaho. He is great. Love his podcast. Love his style, which I think is verbose, acerbic, witty, and more to the point, deeply wise and spiritual and scriptural and theological. I love it. Tom, come on.
Well, I'm just trying to think it through. I've really enjoyed the contributions that Phil Sarker has made to the debate. So I think he's done some really strong leadership. So I'm going to go for him.
Wow, that's great. I feel it's going to be super.
He's going to be very happy. He does listen. I just really like his podcasts. Not podcasts. YouTube.
What's the name? Where can people find it, Tom?
I can't really remember.
You've got to give him a plug now, at least.
On YouTube. He's on YouTube.
Type in Phil Sarker on YouTube. Phil is spelled PHILL, and his surname is SACRE.
It's Sacred Musings.
Sacred Musings. He's done some really good stuff on there about why masks are bad. There's loads of stuff there, and he's been he's also a really nice chap. So
he's good. Sunny Clacton of Sea, in Essex. Tom.
He is Essex. Yeah.
Essex. All right. Best bishop. Come on. What did you say?
Best future bishop.
Best future bishop, Bernard Randall. Come on.
It's the TVA, the Time Variance Authority have taken me out.
Do you know what? I'm slightly. What have we had any bishops of the Church of England say anything useful?
It doesn't
about COVID.
It doesn't have to necessarily be a bishop in the Church of England.
Okay, have any bishops anywhere said anything useful about COVID?
Michael.
Let's just give it to St. Augustine. Let's just give it to St. Augustine again. Best bishop. Full stop.
All right, you are okay.
Michael
Nazir. Okay, yeah.
Tom, I'm going to do St. Augustine for you, and Daniel, are you going for Michael Nazir Ali?
Yeah,
that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Daniel, I was thinking about maybe doing Bishop Vigano, the guy who's been speaking out about. Yeah, he is an archbishop, isn't he? Yeah.
In Italy.
I'm going to go for Bishop Carlo Maria Vigano.
Is that how you pronounce it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Can I have a moment break, please? You can keep going.
We'll keep going. You go and
we'll work our way through the episcopate while you're.
All right, yeah, keep going. Yes, it's a very short list of bishops who've done anything helpful in COVID, isn't it?
Well, particularly when one of them died at the middle of the 5th century. It's been a really long time since we've had a helpful bishop. Right, okay. Oh no, Tom's going to be sad about this one, missing this one. Maybe we'll save because that one's best journalist. So maybe let's go for biggest inspiration, Daniel. It can be anything. Biggest inspiration.
Biggest inspiration.
I mean, to be honest, I wrote this one. I didn't think of one myself. Biggest inspiration, Daniel.
Well, I think Laura Dodsworth's book, State of Fear, actually, and I've noticed recently she's increased her kind of media coverage and that, and it's become noted as a bestseller. I found the book in Waterstones.
Yeah.
Old Loki Waterstones. There it was. I was quite astonished, and it was actually turned faceward, that somebody had actually written a card saying that it's a really good book. So I think in terms of inspiration at the present, if you're talking about the present few months, there's someone who has clearly pushed us all to think about what's happening.
Yeah, I think that's a really good one, Daniel. I'm just trying to think of inspiration. I don't know. For me, it's probably going to be a book or something, I think, because actually somebody I'd like to give this to is Zoe Willis, the lady I did the homeschool podcast with, because I think she was very inspiring, talking about home education and raising children for the next generation. So I'm going to go for Zoe Willis on that one. Biggest inspiration. I don't know who Tom's. Should we put one down for Tom? What's he been inspired by? Let's put Alan Titchmarsh for Tom. Well, what is he into? Is
great Christian.
Into bell ringing? I'm not really sure.
Gardening.
Yeah. Is Tom into gardening? I'm not sure.
Slightly ripe gardening novels.
Yes, indeed. Right, let's start the next one, which Tom might come back for. Best journalist, Daniel. Best journalist.
Well, for me at the moment, it's got to be Calvin Robinson.
Right, Calvin. Yes, who is also an ordinand.
Yeah, he's also an ordinand at Staggers, and I think he's really taking off at the moment.
He's absolutely everywhere, isn't he? He's on GB News, he's on Talk Radio. I mean, he's really going for it, isn't he?
Yeah, and I don't know how he's doing it really. Does he sleep at night, or maybe he's got a twin brother or something? But
but the stuff he's talking about as well, Daniel. It's so. I mean, he's sort of pretty fearless in terms of the topics that he's raising, isn't he? I mean, as far as I can tell, he's been talking about the Great Reset. Has he been raising concerns about vaccine passports and all kinds of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, earlier in the year he was clearly going for the Church of England in terms of all the race commission stuff that's coming, and was sort of rebalancing that discussion on his own, actually, pretty much on his own.
Yeah. Well, shout out to Calvin Robinson, and he's had a load of abuse as well.
Unbelievable. I mean, I've seen some of the tweets and things, just horrific.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so shout out to Calvin. I am going to go, it's probably a little bit unimaginative, but I am going to go for James Dellingpole, because I think his podcast is brilliant, and there have been so many episodes of it this year, which I think, I mean, not, excluding the one I was in, obviously, but there have been so many episodes which have been really eye-opening. The one with Naomi Wolf. There was one with this whatever he was, like a clinical psychologist.
Yeah, that was extraordinary, wasn't it?
It was. It really opened my eyes. I felt like it was a really revelatory episode. He was talking about demon possession, and there have been lots of others as well. I mean, those are two that really.
I thought the one back in August on digital currency. National digital currency was very powerful, and there you go. Everybody thinks, oh, well, it's Looney Tune stuff that's being described, and then a few weeks later it becomes mainstream. You get articles in the Guardian saying, oh, we should have real concerns about digital currency in China, I thought that was quite a prophetic piece, actually.
That was a good one. And recently, a couple of weeks ago, he had Rachel Fulton Brown on there.
I heard that one too.
That was brilliant. In fact, I thought, when I was listening to that, I thought I get on really well with Rachel Fulton Brown. We all would, and she is welcome on this podcast anytime. She'd be brilliant. She'd be a brilliant guest. It'd be funny to listen to her argue with Tom about the centrality of the Virgin Mary as well.
Steve McGregor and I and the team met James Dellingpole.
I do, yeah.
He came down for an afternoon. He spent a week in Salcombe and had an afternoon with us. High
tea with Dellingpole. What a privilege. It's actually his live event is actually on today. I couldn't go, obviously, because we're doing this, but he's having a big live event. So well done, James. Best journalist for me. I'm not sure what Tom would do, so I'm going to give him Alison Pearson, because I suspect that he might say her.
Her podcast's been amazing, hasn't it? It's really
I think that it's on the whole been very good. I think she's been really, really good on care home stuff, really good in a way that nobody else has. I was a little bit disappointed, I have to say, that she was, at least a while ago, she was in favour of vaccine passports. I found that kind of disappointing, to be honest.
She's written a piece today about how she's struggling to see how somebody like her can remain or can be part of the Conservative Party. Really interesting. That it's not the Conservative Party that she had ever hoped.
Thomas just returns.
I'm
Tom,
sorry, there's a childcare.
How does this sound? For biggest inspiration, we've given you Alan Titchmarsh for his stints on Classic FM, and for best journalist, we've given you Alison Pearson. Are those?
I like Lionel Shriver, actually. Do you know
Lionel Shriver?
Yeah.
For best journalist.
Yeah.
Or inspiration, which one?
Well, best journalist. Well, no, Pierce will probably. Do you know? I just don't know.
Come on, you've got to choose.
Best journalist, Lionel Shriver.
Okay, great. And we'll leave Titchmarsh up there. Okay.
Well, he's great, isn't he? Can't go wrong with him. Gentle.
He is good. Best
politician.
Politician, yeah.
Well, my own MP, I think, Mr. Sims.
What's his first name?
Do you know what? I'm just going to look that up.
Mr. Sims.
Mr. Sims.
And what constituency is that?
It's Poole. Robert Sims, Sir Robert Sims, who's been one of the stalwart Tory sort of opposition, the only opposition.
Yeah.
What else have we got here? Best podcast.
Hang on a second. We've got to do our politicians as well.
Have you not there? What have you been doing whilst I've been away? Blimey.
We've done biggest inspiration and best journalist.
What's my biggest inspiration? Titchmarsh. Okay, that's all right.
Titchmarsh, not Titchmarsh. Right, Daniel. There's so many more of this. We can't go on like this.
We just can't go on. We're going to be here till 6.
We'll have to finish this in a minute. But Daniel,
is anybody still listening?
Best politician, Daniel.
Oh, I don't know. I can't even. That's a brain fry question, isn't it?
It's a hard one.
I think I know who Tom's talking about. His MP. I think
Charles Walker would be a good one as well. He's New Forest, I believe.
Yeah.
There's a cluster of them down on the south coast who have all been very good.
Who's the guy with longish grey hair?
That's Charles Walker.
Is that Charles Walker?
That's the one. That's who I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Oh, do you want him? Do you want him, Daniel? Charles
Walker. He's the one who got very upset, rightly so, when he saw that woman being bundled away by the police. It's an interesting comparison, really, isn't it? Because there's remember that lady that's sort of in her 70s or 80s protesting against the people taking away her liberty outside Parliament, and it's 4 police just grabbed one arm each, straight in the back of a van. Off she went. Hopefully they let her go at some point, but she might still be there languishing in a police cell for having the effrontery to say, actually I quite like my rights. And yet if you're one of the esteemable what are they called, Insulate Britain, they're allowed to sit there for just 4 policemen to each one arm each, straight in the back of a van.
Climate lunatics.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah,
and I think some clergy in that as well.
There's a couple, aren't there? Retired clergy.
What a surprise. Do we know any of them, Tom?
I do not. Maybe they're listeners to Irreverend.
Somehow, I doubt it.
I doubt it. All right, next one. Sorry, I'm going for Ron DeSantis, governor of governor of Florida. Yeah. Okay, next one. Best podcast.
Well, I've never listened to a podcast, so I wouldn't know.
You can't say that as a podcast host. What do you mean you've never listened to a podcast?
I've never listened to a podcast.
All right. Well, you'll have to just say Reverend Faith and Current Affairs.
Oh, well, obviously, yeah.
What else could you say?
Yeah, Daniel.
I'd say recently I've really enjoyed London Calling.
Yeah, London Calling.
Jones Young and Delingpole. I think it's really a really funny, engaging, and they've done really well in the charts. I think they've got up to number 6.
Oh, well, in the country.
Yeah,
in political podcasts, though, right? Not in all podcasts.
Yeah. Which is awesome. They're just good fun to listen to.
It's been claimed that there's a similar dynamic to Jamie and I in there, in between. Jamie's the Delingpole, I'm the Toby Young of the Irreverend.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, perhaps. I think we also have an original slant to our.
Of course we do. Yeah.
I'm going to go for, it's a hard one. It really is a hard one. But I think I've only just been listening to this for a couple of months, but I'm going to go for The Rest is History, the history podcast that Tom Holland and Dominic Sandbrook do. I think it's a really good podcast. It's a bit woke at times, and I don't really listen to those episodes. But I think in terms of an actual, a podcast where you can learn about history and it's enjoyable to listen to, it's quite funny as well. Sandbrook has quite a sort of slightly irreverent sense of humor, which we always love here. It's a good one. All right, a few more. I might get rid of a couple of these categories.
Best episode of Irreverend would be a good one.
No. First, best food. Best food.
Best food.
Oh,
I'm going for steak.
Yeah.
Tom, what are you going for? Come on, Tom. It shouldn't be something that takes a long time. Best food. Come on. What have you been eating? What do you like? People want to know.
All sorts of food. I'm just thinking. I do most of the cooking in my house, and the thing that I've enjoyed learning to cook over lockdown was I do a really good sort of Cantonese style sweet and sour chicken.
Sweet and sour chicken. That sounds lovely. That's making my mouth water just thinking about that. Good, Daniel.
Yeah, we have Christians who run a restaurant down the road called the Winking Prawn. It's very sort of doing a shout out. I don't know if the
Winking Prawn.
They're really good. But they do an amazing barbecue in the evenings.
Okay.
Which is sort of, it's real Tex-Mex. You can have steak, halloumi, prawn, king size prawns, chips,
So what am I calling this? The winking prawn barbecue?
Winking prawn barbecue.
Okay,
Everyone locally here will say, "Oh," will sort of start licking their lips. You say, "Let's go for a winking prawn barbecue." Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
It sounds like a euphemism, but it's not. Get yourself down to the winking prawn barbecue. Right, best episode of Irreverence, Tom.
Do you know, there've been loads of really fun ones, but I think Laura Dodsworth.
I thought you were going to say that.
Yeah,
this is her second award she's won.
Yeah.
Is it? Okay, best. I just think I really enjoyed interviewing her. It was a really interesting discussion. Had a lot to be brought from both sides. I felt. Daniel, you weren't able to be there, weren't you? Which is very sad.
You organised it and then you missed it.
Yeah. But we really enjoyed speaking to her. I don't know if she listens to Irreverend. She probably doesn't. But I think she's done an awful lot of good stuff.
Yeah, she has been. Daniel,
I'd say the same actually.
You'd say, but you can't say the same. That's the rules.
What about Esther McVeigh? I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Who's Esther McVeigh?
She's. I think you mean Esther O'Reilly.
All right. Who's McVeigh? Oh, McVeigh is Esther McVeigh is the Tory housing minister or something, isn't she?
Yeah, she's a conservative minister, isn't she?
Sorry, Esther O'Reilly. But I mean, I'm not very good with names. You might have noticed, those listeners. Someone coined a term as a tomopropism or something. Which after my Jeff Bezos from last week.
I think the one with Esther was really.
Was that the legend of banter?
Yeah,
legend of banter. So Esther O'Reilly.
I think how she was drawing out, this whole thing about Douglas Murray.
Yeah,
edging towards Christianity.
Yeah,
I think was absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, that was a good one. I'm going to go for the podcast extra that Tom and I did on the Eucharistic debate.
That was good fun. Yeah,
so, I painted the whole bedroom listening, laughing my head off.
I think my favourite bit of that was
clearly one.
Well, no, I don't think so, Jamie, because we established you literally keep making up bodies of Christ. Anyway,
like the Apostle Paul. Yeah. Anyway, let's not go back there.
Oh no, please.
Sorry, somebody was saying something. The favourite part of it.
That was me.
Oh, was that it? All right, sorry. Cool. All right. Best news, excluding the good news.
Ooh.
I've got to say, this is a slightly ambivalent one. For me, I genuinely was happy when Matt Hancock got found out and excluded from the public domain. That has made my life a lot less. It's eliminated a source of irritation from my life. Let's put it like that. So I'm going to go for the firing of Matt Hancock.
Those dead eyes. Best news.
Well, there's been some good news over the past.
Do you know what? When I read it, when it became clear that the churches weren't going to be forced to close again over the third lockdown, for me that was a really big moment.
Okay, church is staying open over third lockdown. It's in some ways historically it's kind of a low bar, isn't it? The church is allowed to stay open. But
but it was in the context. We could have had. I mean, just think about it. We could have had 4 more months of being closed quite easily. They did in Scotland and Wales, I believe. So
yeah, that is true. That is true. Daniel, what's your favourite?
Well, I think what's buoyed me up in the last year has been the Florida-Texas distance.
Yes, that's true.
And Steve McGregor hails from Florida. Austin, one of my other interns, hails from Texas, so I get regular updates as to how it's going. And the Free States, I think that's been quite great to know that there is some place on the planet that you could ostensibly go to that speaks English and that makes great steaks.
Yes, I agree. And if I could go to Florida, I might. So I agree with you, Daniel.
Companies get fined, isn't it? $5,000 for imposing a vaccine passport.
Yeah. Quite right as well. Quite right. Okay, that's good. Okay, now next one. Oh, best tweet. That's quite hard if you don't have that.
Yeah, that's really difficult, isn't it?
Best tweet. Tom, have you got any good tweets?
I left Twitter 10 months ago.
Okay.
So no, I don't really know.
Okay, I might have to abandon this category because I don't have one.
Wasn't there yesterday, Project Veritas?
Oh yeah.
Done a piece where a bit of investigative journalist, Calvin Robinson and others have picked up on it, and it's gone viral, where they had a video of a Pfizer scientist basically saying that antibodies, your natural immunity is far more efficient than the vaccine. Any vaccine they can produce.
I found it here.
Yeah, and so they went and confronted him in a bar, and he gets quite irked and drives off as they're shouting with microphone in hand, saying, "Isn't this the most medically important question of the century?"
Yes.
Stop and answer.
I like it. I don't know if they've got their own Twitter account, but there's somebody called Benny Johnson who tweeted it out yesterday. Scientists at Pfizer are saying the same things that get regular people deplatformed and labeled conspiracy theorists. Project Veritas does it again. So we'll give that to Benny Johnson.
Yeah,
that can be a joint award. So there we are. I've done that. All right, best blog. Now and again, it can't be one of ours.
No.
We don't have one, but it can't be mine. It can't be Daniel's. Any takers?
Yeah, I think again, double award really to Esther O'Reilly. Actually, he did. I think a series of pieces during Pride Month, which was both generous and orthodox.
Right.
Yeah.
Deeply insightful and pastoral. Yeah. And clearly had a lot of insight in writing, and people have been very gracious in what they put.
So that's the Young Fogey blog on Pathos, isn't it? There's a really
very readable, very quite moving pieces.
There's a really great article on the vaccine passports in church there. What sort of Dan Darling and the poison COVID discourse is really good. I thought really gentle and
one called "Till We Have Masks."
That's also good. Yeah, till we have masks, and that's about
parodying C.S. Lewis's "Till We Have Faces."
It was I think it was called "Till We Don't Have Face Masks," and the "don't" and "mask" were in brackets.
Yeah.
So kind of nice sort of this nice sort of postmodern thing. We'll call that a joint award then, shall we, for Esther? Because I don't really read blogs, to be honest with you, very much. All right, two more, almost there. Most likely destination outside of the Church of England. This isn't really an award. This is more of a kind of prediction. Tom, where would yours be? Yours would just be some kind of like preaching hut, wouldn't it? That you hastily construct.
Whitewashed preaching hut, yes.
By the M3 or something, and just shout at the cars that pass by, the truckers that pass by, just shout the gospel.
No, it would not.
Bishop of East Paul.
I don't really know.
Tom, these are awards people want to know.
If the Church of England abandoned orthodoxy in a sort of official way, if there's still an if there, then I think it would have to be the Free Church of England, which is a sort of ultra-Protestant offshoot from the 19th century. They're now, I think.
How many members does it have?
Has a few churches. They have got a working relationship with AMIE, I think.
What's AMIE?
Anglican Ministries in England, which is GAFCON structure.
Okay.
So that's one place that I might consider if the Church of England became officially heterodox.
Okay, that's good. Daniel, same question.
I think if I were in America, if I went to the free states of Texas and Florida, there'd be no way that I'd join the Episcopal Church.
No.
I mean, I think They don't have anybody right of Jeremy Corbyn.
No.
I would just automatically join the ACNA.
Yeah. ACNA, yeah, that's the American Church, Anglican Church of North America,
which is the equivalent of the AMIE, it must be said. So they're both GAFCON inspired, sort of continuing churches.
I think ACNA is a much bigger deal than
because there's actually had the fundamental split because the Episcopal Church in America officially went heterodox about 2 years ago, maybe longer now.
I was going to say either the ACNA or the Orthodox Church. So seeing as you've said the ACNA, Daniel, I've become some kind of Eastern Orthodox, I think. So there we go.
You got the beard for it, yeah, but you haven't got the hats. You've not got the right sort of hats, Jim.
Yeah, the hats, Tom. Hats can be sorted out, can't they? The beard growing is an innate property.
He's already looked on eBay. Come on.
Right. Finally, the raspberry.
Finally. Oh.
This is called the Raspberry Award. You can interpret that in whatever way you want. Normally, just to explain, if you don't know what Raspberry Award is, it's for something that's, somebody's made a mess up, or somebody's made a rubbish film, or somebody's done something really bad. Raspberry Awards. What would you go for? Any raspberries here? I mean, basically the whole thing's been a raspberry, hasn't it? But anything specific? I
don't really understand what you're talking about, Jamie. I must say. Raspberry Award, right?
Raspberry, like somebody who's really messed something up, or that show where they do Plank of the Week. It's a bit like that, but
no
raspberry. No,
who
on Talk Radio? Oh yeah, I forgot you don't listen to podcasts. It's quite difficult doing this game with you, Tom.
Go on. You give us an example, and then I'll know roughly what you're talking about.
Well, a Raspberry Award could be something like spaffing.
Not something like. What is your nomination?
Probably my Raspberry Award would probably be like Matt Hancock spending however many £billion on a track and trace app that didn't work. Maybe that would be mine. So does that give you an idea?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. My Raspberry Award is going to go to the authors and collaborators of that awful document from the Bath and Wells diocese that we looked at the beginning of the year, where it's quite easy to conclude that most of the people they talked to didn't really want to be ministers in the Church of England,
or even want to go to a church.
Don't want to go to a church. Yeah.
Cool. Sunday off.
Yeah, it was quite nice to have the Sunday off, was one of them, wasn't it? We don't have the pressure of going to take the Eucharist service, thinking, what are you doing? Anyway, so whichever priest seriously wrote in a feedback to the diocese, it's quite nice to have Sundays free of going to do my job.
Yeah, was that called Where We Are Now, Tom?
Yeah, something like that. We've got the documents in my email somewhere. It was sent by a friend of the pod, and it was very funny.
It was good. Yeah, Where We Are Now. If anyone wants to have a sort of slightly depressed laugh, then have a look at it. Daniel,
I've got a couple, if I may indulge you.
Yeah,
one is at the beginning of lockdown. It's the clergy who had these blooper moments while doing live stream, and that poor Italian priest who put on Facebook emojis, and unbeknown to him was having Blues Brother glasses and boxing gloves and and rainbows coming out of his head.
Right.
In a similar vein, the priest in Plymouth who had decided to do a YouTube thought for the day, and we all thought as we were watching the clip, he's very close to that candle, and then set himself alight.
Wasn't there in a slightly less sort of PC moment? There's that video at the beginning of first lockdown, of the chap who was doing a live broadcast, and his partner was naked behind the curtain, unbeknownst to him. Was that?
I think that might have been something that happened in the Chichester diocese, Tom.
I think it might have been something that happened with the priest in the Chichester diocese. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I think there was a rather unfortunate interruption to a live broadcast where I think he was meditating on the holy mysteries of the Rosary or something, and we won't put a link to that in the show notes. But,
My goodness. I thought Calvin Robinson posted one today on Facebook of Justin Trudeau, who's declared more alphabet soup on LGBT.
Oh, there's more now, isn't there?
There's more. It's about 10 letters. In trying to say it, he couldn't remember what it was and couldn't even get LGBT right. He got sort of LDGT, and he obviously got quite frustrated with himself, and then began exclaiming. And I just thought, what a Burke.
Yeah, I mean, he is a joke. I'm going to do, so mine was just an example. I really want to give mine to Harry and Meghan for the homemade videos that they do, where he's talking to the camera and she's sort of standing behind him, looking at him like he's a hostage victim. So I'm gonna give mine to Harry and Meghan. For their various woke political initiatives.
Do you think there's a butler with huge prompt cards?
And she's actually just got like a very sharp
knife hidden behind her back. Yeah, like just
small of his back.
Yeah.
It's I just find I feel really sorry for Harry actually.
Do you really? Do you actually? I don't,
because he's a damaged and sort of quite directionless individual who's obviously struggling to find an identity for himself, and he's trying to find it now in this rather ridiculous charade with Meghan Markle, campaigning about climate change and inequality and denouncing his own family. I mean, it's very, very sad. It's very sad when you think about it, what's going on with the royal family. So yeah, I mean, I do feel sorry. I mean, I don't really think it's any excuse for what he's doing, but I do feel sorry for him as well. We have to have compassion, don't we, Tom, for people?
We do, but he's also very wealthy and very privileged.
Yeah. So do you think she'll run for president?
Do you think Meghan Markle?
Why not?
Goodness me.
And then they could have royalty back. First husband.
Yeah, exactly. That would be
Prince
something.
of the realm.
The first American president who is a woman would be also the first American president to be married to Prince in the English royal family. That would be quite something, wouldn't it? Chaps, I've come to the end of my questions now. So those are the Irreverend Awards, and congratulations to everyone who won one. There are no prizes. Because it's not that sort of podcast, but just thanks for contributing, everyone who's enriched our lives so much. And I think I did have some other stuff planned. I had a good email from who was it, Peter, I think, who wanted us to succinctly answer the question, what is a Christian and how can I be one? And tell us succinctly how we became Christians without waffling. That was his challenge. But
without waffling,
we've been going for almost 2 hours now.
Well, we could try that another time. I think
that's like a special, doesn't it?
We could try it. Yeah, special. It's supposed to be succinct. We'll make another podcast entirely dedicated to answering.
To attempting to get a
succinct answer. I was quite upset. I was quite upset that someone thought that we were waffling about which book of the Bible to read. I was like, actually, I thought we gave quite clear direction in the middle of a sort of 20-minute diatribe about which translation to use, which wasn't even in the original question.
Whatever it was, Tom, it wasn't succinct though, was it? And I have to say that a number of people have said the same thing. So I'm sure there was a real gold in there. It was just there was a bit of waffle as well. We do, we sometimes like to extend
wax lyrical.
Yeah, exactly. We just love scripture so much.
Yeah, it's true.
It just pours out of our mouth, like Psalm 119. The praise of God just keeps on going on and on and on. That's like this podcast. Anyway, so thanks for that, Peter. Maybe we'll do that another time. Just one thing. I'm away next week at our conference, so I don't think I'm going to be able to do an episode. So sorry everyone about that. I do apologize. So no episodes next week, but the week after we'll come roaring back with a super well, it's not going to be super. It will just be the same as our other types of episode, but there'll be a new episode in another couple of weeks, which will be something to look forward to. But
I think we should have suggestions for guests as well, because we haven't had a guest in a long time.
Yeah, it's just, the thing is, I like having guests, but it's just a little bit more effort. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah, but I mean, sometimes you need to put that in, Jamie.
Yeah, I suppose so. Maybe next guest you can take charge of like interview.
Okay, I can do that.
I'll just sit there and make
lengthy comments. Not necessarily anything to do with the subject.
I'll just do some sort of extemporary waffling around and sort of pseudo intellectual contributions. I have had quite a few suggestions for guests, actually. There was somebody who got in touch and said there's a Christian economist who'd be interested to talk to us, which sounds quite good. Anyway, I think we should leave it there, chaps. But we just genuinely, we're so grateful to people for listening to this podcast, aren't we? I mean, it's amazing, really, that people spend their time listening to this, listening to these reverends, these vicars of Christ, waffling on about all sorts of stuff. So we really are very humbled and genuinely grateful for people giving up their time and for writing and saying that they enjoy it and all that kind of stuff. So sincere thanks to everyone, sincerely. And let's finish off now with a short prayer. I don't want to do it. Maybe Tom or Daniel.
I did it last time. It should be Daniel this time.
All right, Daniel, you should do it as the statesman.
Let's pray then. Heavenly Father, model us on your Son Christ, who said that his yoke is easy, his burden light, who calls us in carrying our cross to know the weight of his glory. May the Holy Spirit inspire us in our daily Christian living. And in these difficult times, may we know hope, joy, love, and peace. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Daniel. That was really nice.
It's lovely. Bless everyone who's listening, and bless you all.
Bless you all. Bless you all. Bless us all, everyone. And here's to the next year of Irreverence.
Yes.